is Congress starting to get fed up with the SEC and their lack of a Bitcoin ETF approval. Shout out to Full Throttle Hodl, fellow Bitcoiner and pleb and a good friend of mine. He tagged me in this article, and I was like, you know what? Today's a good day for some hopium. And then I go check the chart, and I see that we jumped from 26.2 to like 26.7. Anyways, that's a pump for ants. Anyways, all right, let's dive into it. I'm pretty sure that this is where the pump came from. Here we go. The SEC told to approve Bitcoin spot ETF immediately by Congress. A group of U.S. Congress members sent a letter to Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler on Tuesday, urging the agency to approve the listing of spot Bitcoin ETPs immediately. The letter was signed by Representatives Mike Flood, Tom Emmer, Richie Torres, and Wiley Nickel. The lawmakers argued that a regulated spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund would increase investor protection by providing safer and more transparent access to Bitcoin investments. It's a bit of a stretch, but I do understand where they're coming from, and we'll talk about that at the end of the article. Last month, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit rejected the SEC's argument that Bitcoin markets are uniquely resistant to manipulation and not yet mature enough for ETF approval. The court ruled that this claim did not justify the SEC's decision to deny Grayscale's proposed Bitcoin ETF. The Congress member wrote, "There is no reason to continue to deny such applications under inconsistent and discriminatory standards." They argued that the SEC stance is unattainable moving forward. The SEC has repeatedly blocked proposals for spot Bitcoin ETFs despite applications from the major financial firms, including Fidelity, BlackRock, Bitwise, VanEck, Galaxy, Invesco, and WisdomTree. The agency has only approved Bitcoin futures ETFs so far, drawing criticism over inconsistent standards. And here's a PDF copy of the letter that was sent to Gary Gensler, and of course this is going to be in the show notes for people to review the whole letter if they want, but I figured I'll at least go through the introductory paragraph. So here we go. Dear Chair Gensler, we write to ensure the Securities and Exchange Commission does not continue to discriminate against spot Bitcoin exchange traded products, ETPs. The SEC is responsible for making certain that products that comply with investor protection standards are made available to investors. This position was affirmed 3-0 by the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia last month in Grayscale LLC versus the SEC. The Circuit Court upheld Grayscale's position that the SEC violated the Administrative Procedures Act when it denied Grayscale's application to convert Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, to a spot Bitcoin ETP. So there's varying perspectives on these Bitcoin ETFs. Of course, we've done multiple clips in the past regarding this news, so it's not like it's something that's new to us and that we haven't been following. Essentially, yes, the SEC is definitely giving a hard time about the Bitcoin ETF, and yes, indeed, there has been some confusing messaging because they are very willing to support futures trading of these quote unquote financial products. Now, I think what people, or at least this is the way I see it, a spot ETF would essentially create a scenario where Bitcoin physical delivery would need to take place. So that meaning that if there is a certain amount of Bitcoin that the ETF would need to provide to its customers, they would actually need to purchase that Bitcoin on the market and then send it. So there is that aspect of the quote unquote physical redemption of Bitcoin with the Bitcoin ETF, and I know that the spot Bitcoin ETF specifically. The other piece to it is the futures, right? Futures doesn't demand any physical delivery of any kind of product. It's paper trading. Now, what a lot of Bitcoiners are afraid of, or concerned with, I shouldn't say afraid of, but concerned with, is that essentially Bitcoin's ability to, NGU will be hampered because of Bitcoin paper trades. So now, don't get me wrong. We do have evidence of this. We have evidence of this in the gold markets. We have evidence of this in the silver markets. We have evidence of this in many, many commodities markets, where physical delivery, specifically futures, right, where physical delivery is just not needed or not requested. And the other problem that we have with it is that some of these parties that would be getting physical delivery may not actually ask for it. They may be like, you know what, we trust you. We trust that you hold it. And that has caused a lot of problems already in the financial system in the past. So, because then, of course, the party that claims to have all of this Bitcoin may not have it at all. And in the case that the third party does eventually decide to redeem their asset, so to speak, that could end up causing, essentially that could end up causing a run on that institution. So on the institution that essentially claims to have this Bitcoin. So it definitely muddies the waters, right? Like it definitely muddies the waters. I do think that the spot ETF is going to be approved, but that's not obviously like that. That's not, like I'm not holding Bitcoin because I think that a spot ETF is going to be approved. So, and this kind of goes back to the ethos of Bitcoiners, right? Like Bitcoin is the money of enemies, right? You're not going to have every single person in Bitcoin is not going to agree with you. They're not going to agree with me. We're not going to agree with each other. So you're going to have all these different types of Bitcoiners. You have some Bitcoiners that just simply look at Bitcoin as a means to an end in gaining more and more fiat. There are other Bitcoiners which completely understand that the local currency value of Bitcoin is going to go up, but they are holding Bitcoin possibly because they do not trust the government, right? Or they do not trust the banks. Or in my case, right, you've had negative experiences with financial institutions. You have had your accounts frozen. You have been in the situation where you had to learn that your money was not your money. And so therefore, you want to hold Bitcoin just for the simple fact that the government cannot fuck with it. And that's enough for you. Like, I mean, for me, that was my initial attraction to it. I honestly didn't even realize that there was NGU. I didn't think of any of that stuff. For me, it was just the fact that, hey, it's got these incredible qualities that all of our current money doesn't have. And I want to hold this. I want to accumulate it and I want to learn about it. Like that to me is what's important. And of course, we are not all going to agree because there are all different types of Bitcoiners. So, in summary, a product like a Bitcoin ETF, a spot ETF, I do believe will positively impact the Bitcoin fiat exchange in the future. Do I worry about paper trades? To a certain extent, I do. The one consolation that I have is that the government can't create more Bitcoin. Paper trades will definitely impact Bitcoin's fiat exchange. I believe it'll impact it temporarily. We've never had an asset like this in history. Bitcoin is not only the network, but it is also the bearer asset itself. We've never seen anything like this before. So, is it going to react the same way as other financial products, as other assets? To a certain extent, right? I mean, we are all humans. So there will be some similarities in the behavior, but I don't believe that it's necessarily going to be the same. Either way, I'm not buying Bitcoin because they're going to have some stupid ETF that the financial bros are going to, control and feel like they're important for. I'm doing this for the freedom money. That's my goal. We all need to be honest with ourselves why we are in Bitcoin. And, I think if we do that, I think that we're going to be less likely to make catastrophic mistakes or fall for the ups and downs of the hopium newsfeed. Guys, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. That was our clip for today. Like, subscribe, help the channel grow. I will catch you all tomorrow.